Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Art of MMA. I'm Mike Ginn. That's professional kickboxer Brandon the Mechanic Catino. We're back in action to talk everything from Bellator 288, UFC Vegas 65, and their new main event, not what we were expecting. Of course, coming up this weekend, we have the PFL Championships. We'll be making our picks for every single title fight in that one, so no individual picks this week. I barely hang on to the leadership this week because neither one of us had a great week, but Brandon was a little better than I was last week with the picks. And then, of course, more fights just dropping off left and right. But that said, go ahead and head over to fightersfirst.shop. Get all the latest and greatest apparel. Hold on one second to that one, Brandon. I'll show people in a second. Including the new Brandon, the Mechanic deconstructed T-shirt. You love the hoodie, so we made the T-shirt. Brandon's rocking it. Of course, I'm rocking the Art of MMA shirt as well. Brandon tried to show it off while the splash was on the screen. So check out the Mechanic shirt. Let our apparel be a part of your story. Fightersfirst.shop. Brandon, how you feeling today, buddy?
Man, feeling good. Ready to talk some of my miles with you, man. It was a good weekend of some fights. Had some Bellator. And of course, the UFC. So, there definitely was a lot of action.
And your personal favorite Invicta was in action last week.
Yes. You know me. Nope. I love the ladies.
Don't worry. I'll talk about them in just a second because I know you do. I do want to get your thoughts on a couple quick stories before we jump into the show today. One, the whole thing going on with James Krause. Of course, it goes back to the Derek Minor fight from the last event where he was hurt, but nobody really knew it. And then all of a sudden, all the bettors knew it right before the show. And everybody favored his opponent. The line went berserk, and they ended up having to pull it off the cards. A lot of people made a lot of money because a guy who never had a finish all of a sudden got a first-round finish. And then this show, he was supposed to be in the corner, got pulled. What are your thoughts on that whole situation?
I mean, it just –
because he was supposed to be in Mile John's corner.
Yeah, I mean, it just takes that, people are really taking this serious, So, like I said, they're just going to have them sit on the sidelines, so they can do their proper, investigation and then see what comes out from there. But like I say, this is some big time stuff. Some big time investigation going on. We just have to wait and see what comes out of it.
I mean, for his part, he's being investigated kind of locally, right? The Nevada Athletic Commission is looking at him. The UFC is not really doing anything. He's not suspended. They just basically said, sit down while we check this out and make sure it's true. Now, it sounds like to me they think Krause leaked the information because, there are rules in place that says you can't bet on fights if you're involved with the UFC. Yep. Like those are already in place. Like the NFL, Major League Baseball, there's rules. You saw Calvin Ridley get suspended for a year in football. It still exists. It's not just Pete Rose. It's still a thing. But it almost sounds like to me a lot of people think he's the one that leaked the information that he was hurt, because not even the Athletic Commission knew that he had the leg injury going into it, which is the bigger deal. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. And then in more controversy, MMA fighter turned back to kickboxer, Alistair Overeem, had that big win over Badahari. Now he's got popped for a banned substance. They say it's not a PED, or he says it's not a PED. They're still waiting for the B sample to come back. Of course, you talked about that on Kicking It. Do you know any more about that yet, or is it still kind of up in the air?
Yeah, no, yeah, it's still up in the air. Like like I said, I think it was his management team basically said that, hey, it's not a performance enhancing drug. It's just a banned substance. So like say me and Tim were talking, it's usually one of those things that maybe it was some. I think Tim was saying that it could have been like estrogen
blockers or something.
Yeah,
like that.
So which is usually like a masking thing. So I mean, we just gotta wait and see what happens. With that B sample and then go from there.
What happens is something like, the reason why I would ask you that is because what happens is something like Glory. Like we know in America with the athletic commissions, you get suspended from one, you pretty much get suspended from all of them. But when it happens somewhere over in like the Netherlands or something like that, does that affect you in other countries? Does it carry on? How's that work?
Yeah. Well, no. Well, I mean, the same thing happened earlier this year with Luis Tavares. He's a Glory kickboxer. He actually was supposed to fight for the light heavyweight title, but he got popped for a substance, so he got suspended. So he wasn't able to fight, and just right now he's sitting on the sidelines. So
could he go to a different country to fight?
I don't think so because Glory because he's still on the contract with Glory. So wherever Glory goes, I don't think they would have.
So Glory is basically like their own athletic commission.
No, because they do have So like the thing is, like this was something that was going on with them, is that they were having this talk with the Netherlands. Like that's why usually they were kind of having this big deal with the Netherlands, why they kind of weren't fighting there. But then they finally like kind of came to an agreement, because basically I think the Netherlands wanted to handle drug testing differently than how Glory wanted to handle it. It's kind of like basically like, you have your, USADAs, VADAs, WADAs, like they all look for different things, but they go about it different ways. So I think like Glory wanted to go about it a different way than what the Netherlands wanted. But I think they ended up kind of caving in and kind of going with the Netherlands way. And you see already, they already got 2 people who popped. So they just got to go from there.
Yeah, because I think about the way the UFC handles it when they're overseas. They're their own athletic commission, and I kind of wonder, like you said, he's under contract to Glory, so if he's suspended by Glory, he doesn't fight.
No, they have their own people, because like before, like they go with now like Voss is like the people who look over their fights. Before they used to work with the ISKA, that was their sanctioning body. So now the company Voss is who sanction their fights, but then like the Netherlands has their own kind of like drug company, like how they do it. I think Glory did have their own drug company that they used, but now I think because you find the Netherlands, like if you find the Netherlands, you have to use our people. So that's how it is.
Well, I guess we have to wait to see what happens with the B sample to confirm what he popped for. But he did pop for something. It could be, like you said, a masking agent, or it could be something. I mean, everything that's banned is banned basically for performance reasons, whether it's
all of this that we know it probably wasn't marijuana or cocaine.
Definitely not in the Netherlands. That's not a problem. All right. Well, before we get in the show, also a couple quick notes. One did have a big event. We won't talk about it today, but they did have their one on Prime 4. Of course, Brandon and Tim talked about the Muay Thai kickboxing side of it. But Christian Lee, now back to being a double champ. He took home the middleweight title. His opponent did not make weight, Abasov, so only Christian Lee could have won the title. And he did. He got the TKO in the 4th round. Also, Stephen Lamont.
Actually, I was just on that fight, man. Yo, shout outs to Chris Lee, man, because he got dropped early in that fight. Definitely came back, man. He was showing off his chin, and he just rallied back in that. I want to say it was the 4th round, I think, right?
The 4th round, he got the TKO with the elbows.
Yeah, exactly. But Herb Dean was kind of. I mean, you're kind of shocked that Herb Dean didn't stop the fight. When he got dropped.
What? You think I'd be shocked that Herb Dean didn't stop a fight? What?
It's bad.
Anyway, also on the MMA side of the card, Stephen Lamont got the win over Bibiano Fernandez. Wong Kim got the win over Bellingham. Hard, interesting to pronounce depending where you are from. Is the G silent? I don't know. I'm not John Anik. I don't do the research that he does. And then Ulu got the win over Fidi Kefu. Split decision. So that was one. And then, of course, over in Brandon's favorite promotion, Invicta, they also had a strawweight title tournament. Ended up being Valeska Machado getting the win. She is the new strawweight champion for Invicta. You had a number of other great fights on there. Bernardo over Leaner, Guthrie over Chase. And then, of course, you also had the tournament that same night. So she also Machado also beat Silva early on. And then Wilczyk also beat DePaula early on. So another great night of fights from Invicta as well. Number 50. So they just keep on trucking on. Brandon, I still haven't decided what to do next week for our 100th episode. Can you believe we're almost at 100?
Yep. Well, next week, man, big time episode coming.
Folks, give me an idea. Drop a comment. And not just Carissa, because she just wants free shirts. But leave a comment. What should we do for a special for our next episode? 100 coming up. It's post-holiday, so people will probably be all hungover anyway. But what should we do next week? 100, beginning December. Let's kick it off with, I guess it's the end of November the episode will be the 29th. Yep. So, but hey, let us know. Drop a comment. All right, Brandon, let's get into this show. Bellator stole the show last week. Bellator 288, big event. Vadim Nemkov and Corey Anderson running it back to finish off the Grand Prix. We had Patricky Pitbull defending against Nurmagomedov. A number of other great fights on that card. Of course, I had another fight canceled because Lucas Brennan's opponent couldn't make it, whether it was weight issues or he's sick, depending on who you ask. Brennan thinks it was weight issues. So I had another fight canceled. But let's go ahead and jump right into that main event. Both you and I thought Corey Anderson would repeat history. He was dominating the first fight until the accidental clash of heads. And then Nemkov went down to Florida. He trained up a little bit, still had Fedor in his corner and everything. Man, and came out and just dominated Corey Anderson. What happened in this fight, Brandon?
Yeah, no, man. We thought that Corey Anderson would still have that wrestling advantage, still able to get the takedowns when he needed. But this time around, he was 0 for 15. Nemkov kept the fight standing up, just where he wanted. And also too, he was able to control the distance. He was using his jab, and plus two, he was using those calf kicks. He was taking out Corey Anderson's leg. That kind of stopped Corey Anderson, from really being able to move, really well. And plus two, another thing that I was kind of thought that Corey Anderson would be able to do is put volume on, with his punches, with his striking, because we all know that Corey Anderson has good cardio, but there was no volume. Like saying, like to me,
he was wearing down.
Yeah, to me, man, Nemkov controlled this fight from start to finish. Like I said, you maybe could give Corey Anderson one round, during the fight, but other than that, like I say, it was Vadim Nemkov. Like I said, I think that time going down to ATT really helped him out. He was hanging out with some wrestlers there, so kudos to him. Kudos to Fedor for letting him go down there, because sometimes people just always want to keep things in house. But hey, he knew, hey man, we need you to level up. Go ahead, go train down there. And man, he killed it.
For one, I don't know how any judge gave it 48-47. Like that, when I heard that, I was like, what? I was like, MMA judging. Mm-hmm. But you want to give Corey one round? I struggle to see which one it was, but possibly, okay, yeah, it's MMA fight. It's a long fight. You want to give somebody one of the not really action-packed rounds? Sure. But Nemkov controlled that fight with that jab. He kept the distance. He never let Corey really get close. When he did a great job of balancing. You could tell he worked with people like Masvidal and them on preventing takedowns and stuff like that, because what I saw from him when he spread out like that just reminded me of Jorge. Like the way he just like against the fence and stuff and used to protect the takedown. Like that just reminded me of that Dan Lambert, Jorge Masvidal, like takedown defense. But man, you talk about learning from your mistakes, right? Like everything's an evolution in MMA, and Nemkov got better. We thought he was a great fighter before and underappreciated as the champ. He was losing that first fight. If it didn't get a clash of heads, he was losing that fight. This fight was a totally different story, and Nemkov did what he was supposed to do and looked $1 million doing it. And he got $1 million for it, because now he's the Grand Prix winner. He is the Bellator champion still. And in a thing of what's next for him, we already know. February 4th, it's going to be him and Yoel Romero. They had a stare down. It's a big CBS event. We're also going to see Ryan Bader and Fedor on that card. So big event coming up on February 4th. Corey Anderson's got to go back to the drawing board. I mean, it's just that simple. Fix some of your mistakes. I did find an interesting stat, though, because you noticed in this fight there was also a clash of heads pretty early. Didn't do quite the damage the first one. And then also there was the low blow by Corey. Did you know out of 26 or 22 fights for Corey Anderson that he's had a foul in 12 of them? Whether it's a low blow, eye poke, like something, he's had a foul in at least 12 of them. And I was like, I just assume it's because of the wrestling and kind of like the aggressive takedowns. And you just, stuff happens when you get close contact with people. But I thought that was crazy to have that many fouls in that few fights. I was like, wow, really? But I guess there's a foul in every fight if you just catch it. I mean, look at the whole Michael Chandler situation they've been talking about a lot this week. So, yeah. Over in the co-main event, you called it. There is a new Nurmagomedov, the king of the lightweight division, and it's not the UFC. It is Bellator. Usman took home the title against Pecheco. Pecheco hung in there. It lasted all 5 rounds, but he was never in the fight. Tell us what happened in that one.
Yeah, no, man. It's kind of like we talk about the main event, man. Usman Nurmagomedov just controlled this fight from start to finish. Was in complete control. I think a couple of judges gave him a couple of 10-8 rounds. That's how dominant it was. And to me, man, Pecheco was just kind of there just to survive. Like there really was no urgency until like the last 5 seconds of the last round, where basically like Usman was kind of walking away. Early celebration. And then he rushed after him. Yeah, exactly. Then that's when you try to bum rush him. But other than that, man, to me, this was all Usman. Like I said, a lot of people always think about the wrestling, but this guy can strike. Like I said, these guys are different than
those kicks were lethal.
Than Khabib. Khabib was dominant with his wrestling, but these guys, the rest of his family, man, they can strike as well. So like I said, I'm the guy's only 24. He's young, 16-0, and he's only probably going to get better. So let's see what's next for him.
Yeah, I told you last week I was picking Pecheco not because I was heavily favored. I just thought the experience would pay off because Usman hadn't fought anybody. Well, now he's fought somebody and he dominated him. Those head kicks, the leg kicks, the distance. It reminds me of this joke Shorty Torres told me when we did that episode of Unfiltered, because he's trained with a lot of the Dagestani guys, him and Alex Soto and all those guys. And first time he went over there, and Shorty Torres is All-American, Olympian level wrestler, Pan Am Games, stuff like that with kickboxing and wrestling. So he's a high-level wrestler. He went over there and got kind of ragdolled by one of the Dagestani guys. And Khabib looked at him and he said, "Are you okay, Shorty?" And Shorty's like, "Yeah, I'm just tired. I'm tired." I was like, and then he turned around and said, "Well, he's a striker." And Torres was like, I quit. If he's the striker, I don't want to see the wrestlers. And who knows if he was talking about Usman or any of those guys that are now making a big name, because this was years ago. But it just kind of like, even the strikers are really great wrestlers of the Dagestani crew. And then I said last week, because there was a stat coming out that because of what Bubba Jenkins said about American wrestlers versus Dagestani wrestlers, and how American wrestlers have way more titles than Dagestani ones. Well, people don't realize Khabib came first. Mm-hmm. Now they're all coming in. So let's look at that stat in 5 to 10 years and look back at it. Looking at it right now, of course, it's going to be heavily favored with the American wrestlers because they've been doing it longer. There's going to be way more champions right now currently. But these Dagestani guys are making an impact in PFL, Bellator, the UFC. You see it with Islam. You saw it with Magomedov. You saw it who's the guy who beat Chris Wade last year in the finals that was hurt this year for PFL?
I don't remember his name.
Yeah,
I know you're talking about, though.
Yeah, like they've been dominating all three major promotions. All three. So Khabib is a hell of a coach, and he's passed it down everything his dad taught him, so it's passing on. So whether you love him or hate him, we're going to have to be looking at these Dagestani guys for a while dominating until somebody figures out the formula. And the more they can strike, the harder it is to figure out that formula. Brandon, your boy Daniel Weichel didn't fare so well. Keys Reeve got the win on that one. Your pick, Terrell Fortune, I told you it's always dangerous. Whenever we pick him, he loses. Yeah. He got dropped and knocked out by Daniel James. Chakili got the win over Feraldo. Ali got the win over Fallon with the doctor stoppage. Moda got the win over Pacheco, another decision. Going down the cards, Colgan got the win against Hannum, TKO. Cawley with the big knockout over Radic. Newman got the choke out over Talker. We had Anderson with the TKO over Fenical. Hokic over Nader with a TKO. And then starting things off, it was Gavea over Mogenberg with a TKO. Any of those other fights really stand out to you on this card?
Yeah, man, just want to give a shout out to Daniel James, man. Like I said, I had picked Fortune, but, it looked like Fortune was about to get the job done in the first round, but Daniel James was able to survive, hung on, and then boom, in that second round, he came out, took care of business. And you usually like to get on the older guys. Hey, my man's 40 out here, still doing big things out here.
Needs to be Terrell Fortune's kryptonite, right? Tim Johnson, now Daniel James. These old dudes knocking his ass out.
Yeah, I mean, and plus, Daniel James, man, that was his moment. Local guy in Chicago, got on the mic, took it. Let's see what Bellator does with him.
Him and Tim Johnson, battle of the ages. I thought that was pretty awesome. I thought a couple other things were pretty awesome on there. The early on in the preliminaries, Hokic with the big knockout over Nader, and then later on, we saw the Colgan get that TKO over Hannum. Both were pretty performance worthy highlights to take a look at. And of course, my Lucas Brennan fight got canceled, so I did not do so hot on that card. I lost 0-2 and won no contest, so Brandon only won one, which was the Nurmagomedov. So rough card. Brandon did much better on the UFC side of things, which we will now turn our attention to. UFC Vegas 65. Brandon, we lost our main event. Derrick Lewis got a stomach bug beforehand, got rushed to the hospital. Ended up not being much of anything, but it was enough to cancel the main event. We ended up getting Nzechukwu and Cutelaba moved up. Cortes-Acosta and Sherman got moved up. Everybody got kind of moved up. Pretty exciting card, though a lot of fights went to the decision, a couple split decisions. Not a lot of finishes. I think there was only 3 finishes in the whole card, so a lot of like long decisions type fights. Let's go ahead and jump in that main event. UFC Vegas 65, Kennedy and Nzechukwu got this finish over Cutelaba. I said last week, I was like, we just don't know when Nzechukwu going to show up. Like, we just don't know. One day he's knocking people out. One day he's getting knocked out. We just don't know. Cutelaba is one of those dudes that could get knocked out, but he also tends to bounce up and down. I took a chance on Cutelaba. I was wrong. What happened in that fight?
Yeah, man. I mean, Cutelaba came out strong that first round, man. He definitely got on Nzechukwu, rocked him, had him hurt. But again, man, Nzechukwu still kind of like we talked about with the Lee fight on one. He survived, came back, second round. He caught Cutelaba and he just finished him. Say, man, he comes from a good camp. Fortis MMA. Down there in Texas, and like I said, man, he's just growing, he's just building. Like I said. I think he's coming off a back-to-back W's. I think his last fight was the Carl Roberson fight, where it is that he got a finish there, and now he got this finish here. To me, man, though, this story to me is really kind of about Cutelaba, because I think he's 1-5-1 in his last 6 fights or 7 fights. Something like that. So I mean, where does he go? I think he's now at Extreme Couture. He's trying to fix up some things, but I mean, like I said, he did look good that first round, but after that first round, he got caught and that was it.
Cutelaba was one of those fighters who's just kind of there for like Michael Chandler once again. He's there for a good time, not a long time. He kind of rushes in, tries to make it like a bang fight. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. As far as Nzechukwu, it kind of reminded me of that Oldberg fight. Oldberg rocked him early, and he weathered the storm, let Oldberg kind of punch himself out, and then in the second round, he finished him. Same thing here. Like, Cutelaba came in hard, got a little advantage in the first round. By the second round, he caught him with that knee. He caught him with a couple other shots, and then next thing you know, Nzechukwu's got him out. So it'll be interesting to see where they go from here, because obviously neither guy's ranked. There's a lot of other fun fights, especially in that 205, region. So it'll be interesting to see who they match him up with against. Who do you think would be a good matchup for Nzechukwu next?
I mean, say, man, was he? I think he's 6'6". He got a 84-inch reach, so he's one reach shorter than John Jones. I mean, say, man, he could definitely be a problem at 205. I mean, I could see him maybe finally getting somebody in the top 15. Like 15 to number 13, something like that. I
mean, he's already fought Robertson. Maybe he fights Roundtree next.
Yeah.
Or even somebody like a Dustin Jacoby, Jimmy Shoot. They're all right there. Or Jimmy Crute. I know Jimmy Crute's coming back from an injury soon. I think he should be back soon. It's been a while.
Yeah, man. I would take that Roundtree fight. I say, why not go for that Roundtree fight?
Or you got somebody just dropping like crazy, like Dominic Reyes, if he wants to wait a while.
Nah, I would think Reyes and maybe Cutelaba would maybe be next.
I can see that. Yeah. You also have Johnny Walker sitting there too, struggling. So there's some fun fights always in that bottom part of the 15 that we look for people to jump up in the rankings. In the co-main event, which neither one of us picked because it was not supposed to be the co-main event, Waldo Cortes-Acosta got the win over Chase Sherman. A battle of the big guys. Chase Sherman, he was supposed to be cut, came back, got a couple wins. Does he stick around after this, or is this it?
Yeah, man, I mean, to me, I say, why not, dude? To me, man, Chase Sherman is somebody who you can rely on. You need him in a pinch. He's definitely there. He's definitely down to fight. I say, why not give him at least another fight? Because was this one fight after a win? One loss after a win. So why not keep him?
But it is 5 out of 6 losses though.
Yeah.
He only got 1 win. I said 2. It was only 1 against Van der Raa. But he was supposed to be cut. Came back with short notice. Took a fight. That fight got canceled. They end up rescheduling it a couple months later, and then of course Vanderrod. Then he gets this Cortes-Acosta fight, and he looked okay. He didn't look special. Cortes didn't look special. It was just one of those big guys, kind of like banging on each other for 3 rounds. He comes from a good camp. He's at Jackson, so he's good. He's got some ties, so maybe he can hang around. There's not a lot of heavyweights. There's not a lot of depth to the division. But I just don't see what's next. The same thing with Cortes. Like, I don't think this win does anything for him. Like, I don't expect him to jump up to a top 15 opponent off this. Do you?
Nah. Like I said, man, I think, was it like nobody on this card was a ranked opponent. So, I think these are just people, who just trying to get their name out there, get some traction, get some momentum, and that's what he did in this fight.
Yeah, I mean, you got somebody like Abdur Rakhimov sitting there at 15, Ivanov at 14. I mean, if they don't have anybody matched up in the future, maybe. But I find it hard. They'll probably have to take a couple more fights, or at least one more fight before Cortes gets up to the top 15. Also on that card, I'll run down the results real quick. We had Salikov got the win over Fiallo. Nice spinning wheel kick. That shit was highlight wheel. Jack Della Maddalena continues to dominate, got the win over Danny Roberts. The only pick I got right all week.
Yeah, man, good pick, man. He looked sharp, man. His boxing was crisp.
Yeah, this dude's on the way to the top. He's definitely on the way. Charles Johnson got the split decision win against Zuma Gulov. Always like to ask, good decision, Brandon?
Hey, man, it's MMA judging. That's all I can say.
That's a no. Your girl Jennifer Maia got the win over Mirna Moraes. Miles John, without James Krause in his corner, still got the win over Moraes. Your pick, Ricky Turquoise, took a split decision over Nadi Vidal. Good decision?
Again, man, MMA judging, dude. I don't know, man, dude. It's MMA judging. That's all.
You're not even sure about your own pick.
Hey, it's not me. It's a matter, dude. I'm not a judge. I mean, hey, I'm happy Ricky Turquoise got the dub. I think Ricky Turquoise did enough, but hey, I don't want to be biased.
I'm gonna skip a result because I'm gonna come back and want to get your opinion on it real quick. Brady Heisting got the win over Garcia, and Natalia Silva got the win with a vicious spinning back fist over Bleda. I'm gonna come back to this one: Vanessa Demopoulos versus Maria Oliveira. I said last week I don't understand how she was the underdog. She keeps pulling off wins. She keeps winning. Like, everybody keeps sleeping on her. Anybody who's in Vegas, talking about James Krause and them, they should be piling money on Vanessa because every fight she's the underdog and she still wins. What do you think about that?
Hey, man, dude, the betting people are seeing something, but I mean, hey, to me, like I said, she's on the come up, man. I think she's she a blue belt or purple belt, and I think BJJ. I'm saying homegirl has some skills. And like I said, I think she said, like, she really is focused, dedicated on just training. That's that's all she does now. So, let's just see where it is she goes next. Look,
she lost her debut against JJ Aldrich, and then she's pulled off 3 straight, including people like Gomez Juarez, Jin Frey, and now Oliveira. You got to start giving this girl respect. I know she has like this, I don't even know how to politely say it, but she admitted she used to work at a strip club, and she comes from the bottom, trying to make her way to the top, but she's earning her way, and she's earning her way really quickly. So you got to keep an eye on her for sure. But that's UFC Vegas 65. Of course, leave your comments. Let us know what you thought about the fights last weekend. Brandon, it's time to make some picks. We got a lot of them to roll through today. 6 picks, 6 title fights, $6 million on the line. The 2022 PFL World Championships, of course, headlined by Kayla Harrison and Larissa Pacheco. We also have Brendan Loughnane versus Bubba Jenkins, 2 good friends. We got Ante Delia going against Sheffel. Stephen Ray versus Alban Mercier. Delano Taylor versus Sada Busai. And Akhmedov versus Rob Wilkinson. Not to mention the debut of Aspen Ladd versus Julia Budd. There was supposed to be Shane Burgos on this card. Of course, him and Marlon Moraes are off because Shane got hurt. You got veterans like Nathan Schulte going against Jeremy Stevens, Magomed Kamirov against T-Bow. There's a ton of fights to make this pay-per-view worthy, so props to PFL on this one. But we're going to go ahead and start in the main event. This is your chance, Brandon. You've been waiting for a month and a half to sit there and tell me why Kayla's going to lose. Who's your pick? And tell me why.
Man, I'm going to rock with Larissa Pacheco. I've been rocking with her all season, so I'm going to still rock with her. Homegirl has dynamite in the hands, saying she's the only person that has taken Kayla Harrison always to decision. She's never been stopped by Kayla Harrison. And like I said, she has, to me, been improving each and every year. It sucks that last season we didn't get the matchup because Pecheco missed weight. But, hey, hopefully now she's going to come in on weight, be ready to go. Like I said, man, Homegirl has been getting first-round finishes. And, again, she knows how to take care of herself on the ground. I just think that I think this is going to be her time. I think it's going to be third time's a charm. Larissa Pacheco will be your season champion.
All right, I'm not going to be dismissive of Larissa. She is a beast. She's a great fighter. She's fought Kayla twice, and she's gotten 50-45 across the board both times. Kayla's shown that when she takes her to the ground, that's it. Nothing Larissa can do. Kayla's also gotten better in the last few years. To where the point is, we're talking about Kayla against people like Cyborg and Amanda and putting her in that conversation, even if you don't think she's earned it yet, because she's been fighting against, unranked opponents for the most part. But that said, she's 15-0 for a reason. She trains at a top gym, an American top team. She's not training with scrubs. She trained with Amanda Nunes for a long time. You talk about iron sharpening iron. Like, Kayla has gone against some of the top fighters in the world in her gym. You just don't see it on TV. This woman has done everything that's been asked of her. And I know she gets a little cocky. She gets a little arrogant. But, she's run through everyone. And she had a little hiccup beginning this season, which went to a decision. And she was mad at herself and came out and destroyed her next two opponents. I think Pecheco doesn't make it to the decision this time. I think Kayla's going to finish her in the first or second round. I think Pecheco always has a puncher's chance. If Kayla comes in trying to prove something, she could get caught. But I think Kayla is smart enough to know to take you down, ground and pound you out, and call it a day, get that paycheck, and go on to the next. So I'm taking Kayla. Over in the co-main event and the second title fight, we're talking Brendan Loughnane versus Bubba Jenkins. I'm interested to see your take on this one. Who you got?
I'm going to go with Bubba Jenkins. I think Bubba Jenkins, unlike Chris Wade, will actually go for the takedown, will use his wrestling. And, hey, man, Bubba Jenkins can't, he can't.
Better after that conversation of wrestling versus wrestling.
I mean, yeah, but also, too, I think Bubba Jenkins, he can throw some punches if need be. But I think he will try to use his wrestling, control him, take him down, and maybe even get a submission. But I just think Bubba Jenkins will win this one.
I've been torn on this one because I'm a big Bubba Jenkins fan, too. But I don't know if it was Brendan Loughnane that looked so great last time or Chris Wade looked so bad. But based on how good Brendan looked, it's hard to pick against him because I know these guys are good friends. I don't know if either one's going to hold back in this fight. Bubba talks a good game, and so does Brendan. I'm going to stick with Loughnane in this one, but I'm not convinced. This may be a pick I come back next week and be like, I wasn't really sure about it. But I do think Brendan has more tools in the shed, so to speak. I think he's a sharper striker than Bubba Jenkins. I think Bubba's a little better wrestler. But if Bubba stands and exchanges with him, especially with those leg kicks that Loughnane likes to throw, he can slow Bubba down a lot and stretch this one out and get a decision. So, and Loughnane is not afraid to bleed. He'll get into a firefight with you. So I think Loughnane going to take this one. A guy who's been in the finals a couple times, Ante Delia going against Matthias Scheffel. A battle of the big guys. No Bruno this year. Who takes this one?
I'm gonna go with Delia, man. I think it's his time to shine. He definitely is always game. Like you say, he's been to the finals a few times. So I mean, he knows how to win. But then again, though, so does his opponent. His opponent is undefeated, but I think this is where he's gonna take his first career loss. And I think Delia is
Scheffel's not undefeated. Scheffel's 17-8.
Oh, that's 17-8? Oh, my bad. I read that wrong.
Looked like a 0?
No, my bad.
Now I see what Pennsylvania was talking about. I'm sorry. That was a low blow. I'm going to, Scheffel did beat Bruno, so you're talking about the guy who knocked off the two-time defending champ, Capoloza. Delia, man, it's hard to back him. I think he's the better fighter. It's just hard to back him, but he looks so good this season. He ran through Ferreira, ran through Graves, and he did beat Scheffel to start the season. So I'm going to take Delia as a repeat of history. He knocked Scheffel out the first time. Maybe he knows something. Maybe Sheffield tightened up his game a little bit. I don't know, but I'm going to go ahead and take the guy who already won once and take him in this fight. In the next title fight, we're talking about Stephen Ray, guy who basically just personally single-handedly handed Anthony Pettis his walking papers, and Olivia Alban Mercier, the veteran. Who you got?
I'm going with the Canadian gangster, man. You know, I think Ali Mercier is the better martial artist. I think he's better technically standing up. I think he's better on the ground as well. And also too, you know, he too comes from good camp at TriStar. So I think it's his time to shine.
Once again, I think we've only agreed on one fight so far. I'm taking Stephen Ray, and we slept on him in Anthony Pettis fights. We slept on him all season long, and man, here he is, right? Like, he just keeps on coming. So I'm going to take Stephen Ray in this one just because I feel like, much like when we talk about the next fight, I feel like he's just on a mission. I do think Alban Mercier has all the tools. He's a veteran. He's been around a long time. But I think Stephen Ray's the guy, especially if he goes to the ground. He's going to take your back. So I'll take Stephen Ray in this one. In the welterweight, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm flipping a coin because Delano Taylor has looked great. Sadibou Sy has looked fantastic. Both have run through veterans to get where they are. Who you got in this one, man?
Yeah, man. I mean, usually you would probably want to pick Delano Taylor, you know, but I'm gonna rock with Sadibou Sy. You know, man, he had that Rory McDonald W. The man
Both of them had the Rory McDonald W.
That's true, but to me, man, Sy has the reach. You know, I think to me, Sy needs to make this a boring fight. To me, Sy's gonna want to use his jab, keep him at bay. To me, Delano Taylor is gonna want to get in your face, throw some haymakers, throw some bombs, and put the lights out. So to me, it's gonna be like who of course can get their game plan on. But I think that Sadibou Sy will be able to use his jab, use his kicks to keep Delano Taylor at bay, and he's gonna get this W.
Man, this is a battle of experience versus youth, right? 35 versus 25. Man, Delano, like, both these guys are 6'3", both of them are 170. They're both long, both strong. The only hiccup Delano's had is that TKO against Magomed Kamirov. Other than that, he got the late substitution replacement against Rory McDonald, knocked him out of the playoffs, knocked him out.
Yeah.
Sadibou Sy looked great all season long. He beat Rory. He beat Carlos Leal. Man, this is tough for me. Both of them last loss was to Magomed Kamirov. Sy did at least go the distance. Sy doesn't get stopped very often. I'm going to take the kid. I'm going to give Taylor, I think he's – man, this is one of those, like I said, flip a coin. Both guys have had a great season, and both guys deserve it, but I'm going to go with Taylor in this one.
All right.
I think we might agree on the next one, though. Light heavyweight title. No shoe face this year. We got Amari Makhmedov versus Rob Wilkinson. Who you got in this one?
I got Akhmedov over here. I think he's going to take him down, ground and pound, call it a wrap, control him, and he will be your champion.
Yeah, I tried to talk myself into Rob Wilkinson because of his record, and he's only got 2 losses. Ironically, by the way, one of his losses is to Israel Adesanya. He was one of his UFC early opponents back on the Romeo Rocco card. Yep. Since he left the UFC, he's undefeated, 5-0. His only 2 losses were in the UFC. But that means when he gets stepped up to big competition, he doesn't handle the competition very well. Good fighter, but he's been able to be knocked out before. I think Akhmedov is just going to get on him and ground and pound him. And that will be that one as far as that one. So we agree on that one. And I kind of figured we would. But don't be surprised. Like I said, Wilkinson's only 2 losses are in the UFC, and one of them's to Adesanya, so that's not a bad loss. He is the smaller of the 2 guys, so that's just a guy I kind of give. Akhmedov is like one of those light heavyweights that probably could fight at heavyweight, whereas Rob Wilkinson used to fight at middleweight. So.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, like I said, they don't have a middleweight division in PFL, so had to move up.
It'll be interesting to see what they do with a lot of these divisions next year. Kayla's going to the pay me format. She's not doing the tournament anymore, so maybe they go to a featherweight. They signed Aspen Ladd. She's going to be debuting against Julia Budd on this card. You got a couple other great fights. You got Marlon Moraes, who stayed on this card to fight Shaman Moraes. So at least he didn't get fed to the wolves against Shane Burgos. You got Nathan Schulte, who's had a little bit of a hiccups the last couple years, going against Jeremy Stevens, who's one step away.
Jeremy Stevens.
One step away from BKFC. Magomed Kamirov, who I don't like. The only reason he didn't make the playoffs this year is because he missed like the first round of fights because he was hurt. But he's perennially in the finals. He's fighting veteran Gleison Tebow. You had Dakota Decheva versus Catherine Koragenis. And then Muhammad Ali's grandson making his debut, Biagio Ali Walsh versus Tom Grassier. Didn't Ali Walsh box for a little while too, or was that his brother?
That's his brother, different one.
Okay. I knew there was like they kept saying making his debut, and I'm like, I thought he was already boxing, but then I thought maybe that might be his brother.
Yeah, because that's I think it's Nico Ali Walsh.
Okay, you're right. Yeah. I knew it was one of them. I was like, yeah, debut. Like I'd heard him before, but it was his brother, not him. So it'd be interesting to see that. You know, they always try to throw bangers on, like they threw Carissa Shields in a couple fights towards the end of the year last year to get some highlights. It'll be interesting to see what Aspen Ladd does. Does she make weight? Honestly, featherweight mightn't be a bad thing. She might as well go for the 155-pound division. Aspen Ladd can't make weight at bantamweight. She can't make weight at featherweight. Whatever. I don't know.
Is this fight at 155 or 145?
It's listed at featherweight.
All right, 155. Okay.
I mean, that's more comfortable for Julia Budd anyway. You know, she's naturally at 145. Or hell, she's fought at 135 before, so Julia can, be more comfortable.
I hope Julia Budd comes to fight because I want to say her last. I want to say her last two fights. I felt like she was just standing there.
Yeah, that's one of the couple of the ways I got wins on you. She kept picking her. So, I mean, she got the win against Caitlin. You know, she just fell short against Jenna Fabian because, let's be real, Jenna Fabian's a big chick. Like, she's a big girl. Like, in that long, tall Muay Thai stuff, and Bud just couldn't get inside on her. And then Jenna was rocking her. But it should be another fun fight. Any other fights on that card you're kind of looking to besides the title fights that you got?
We really just talked about, just the Aspen Ladd, Julia Budd fight.
You gonna be watching that Schulte Stevens fight?
Sure, man. Gotta watch your boy. I know how much you like Jeremy Stevens, so I will watch and support him for you.
Jeremy, I will personally tweet out to BKFC after this fight advocating for you to get a contract.
Oh my goodness, man!
Because you don't belong in MMA anymore.
Wow, man! Why you gotta do my man dirty like that, man? Yo, my man's coming. Oh,
he's a little heathen. Well, get out, bro. Get out.
Oh man.
All right. Well, that's all our picks. Of course, leave your comments. Let us know. Am I right? Is Brandon right? We got 6 picks to go through. This could be the week Brandon takes the lead back the way I was going last week, but I was rolling before that. So who's training you on? We have a lot of picks that are opposite. We only agreed on 2 picks. So 4 picks are different. It's going to go one way or the other this week, unless like last week, Brandon, half our fights get canceled. Derrick, stop going to the hospital right before the fight, bro. Anyway. That said, great weekend of fights. It's going to be on pay-per-view this time, Friday after Thanksgiving. So big night of fights for PFL, $6 million on the line. Brandon, any final words this week before we get out of here?
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving to everybody watching the show. Hopefully you guys are able to spend time with your family and friends. Remember, man, cherish this time because, like I said, we just had, with Anthony Rumble Johnson, Elias Theodore, man, you just never know what can happen. So I'm saying cherish this time with your loved ones. And, and again, please like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you want us to do for our 100th episode. Hopefully you guys will be a part of that,
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea what to do. It could just be a normal episode. It could be a special episode. It all depends. When you come after a holiday, it's hard to get people to hop on the show. It's hard to be able to get people in touch. So we'll see. Maybe I do a giveaway. I'll figure it out this week. That said, definitely have a happy Thanksgiving from our family to yours. Cherish time with loved ones. Brandon mentioned some of the other people. I was debating whether to mention it or not, but thoughts and prayers out to Jason David Frank's family. If you're a Power Rangers fan, you're an MMA fan. He had some MMA fights. He was a martial artist, not just on TV. He actually was. Mm-hmm. Battled his demons for a number of years, way too young to be passed away at 49. So, prayers to his family as well. Tough time for the community, losing some loved ones in relatively a short period around the holidays. It's always tough. So look at those people around the table. You might hate them, you might love them, but they are your family and your friends. So cherish them. Be thankful for them. That said, for the mechanic, Brandon Coutinho, I'm Mike Ginn. Go shop FightersFirst.shop. Look at that dope shirt he's got on. Show him the back, Brandon.
I got that. I can't. I'm tired.
All right. Well, he's not as flexible as he says he is. Anyway, that said, FightersFirst.shop. Go enjoy everything. That's Brandon. I'm Mike. This is Art of MMA. We're out.